Hello.
Perfect. Hi, Michelle.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. I see a face now.
Yes, I'm gonna change my name actually on this thing. Great. Maybe let's wait until past 5 or 5 past.
Sure.
Something like this, because we have a lot of participants and different cultural sensitivities to time.
Absolutely.
I'm also going to post this in the Slack that we have.
One second, guys. 1 second.
Sure. Who has classical music?
My wife.
Nice.
Yeah. She's practicing.
Oh, she's a pianist?
Sorry?
She's a pianist?
Yeah. No, she's practicing a hobby.
Nice. Where are you calling from, Michelle?
Home.
Yes,
From
but
home.
where are you based?
Ah, sorry, in Brussels.
Brussels, nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. We have Sumina in Nepal. And Sergio, can you hear us? Not sure he can. Hi, Marcos. Diego joined us. We have
Hi, Yuli.
Tigria.
Yep.
Hey, everyone.
Nice. Perfect. We're going to start in a few minutes.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. And you're not able to look at me, right? Or you can still see me.
Let me check. Oh, yeah, no, I can still see you. You're a little...
All right. I'm trying to hide my ugly face so this is more visible.
Yeah, I should do the same. There's an awful light in these offices, so I feel like I haven't slept for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, see, I haven't actually slept in 3 weeks, so
yeah, I was gonna say it's probably true for me as well. Okay. Michelle, I'm going to mute you just so we don't have the classical music background.
No, I can do it myself.
Okay. And whenever you want to speak, feel free to unmute and we'll be happy to hear your question. Okay, it's 6:03 here in Spain, so maybe I'll pass the floor to Jonathan, and then if people jump in during the call, they will take it on the way. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for coming for this webinar.
Absolutely.
We've had the community up and running since this summer, so it's pretty new, although we've been operating for the last 3 years. And we've had in the past weeks webinars about how to hire and build a high-performing team. In the past, we've had about raising investment, growth hacking, but it's the first time that we actually have one about how to get your first clients and do your early sales. So I'm really excited because that's a challenge that's recurring for, I think, every entrepreneur. And I know back in the days for us, it's been very difficult. So yeah, I'm just really excited to hear about your story and Pedji. So thank you so much.
Sure. No, thank you so much for having us. I do have to give a quick disclaimer though. Everything that I'm going to say to you today is 100% real. It is 100% how we were able to do it. There's no fabrication. in anything that we're doing. And a lot of what I'm going to show you today is extremely difficult. However, it is also easy if you're able to stay focused. So if I could, because I have a lot of people that are actually physically watching, just by a show of hands, are we excited today? Are you able to hear me? All right, cool, awesome. I see pretty much everybody's hands up and running. So that means it's good to go. You're able to hear me. I'm going to have a Q&A session at the end of the conversation. So you can spitfire as many questions as you can. I would highly recommend, though, that during this conversation, during this call, that you hold and write down the questions and save them to later. That way we're able to answer them as best as we possibly can in a line order. So that would be incredibly helpful. So without further ado, let's begin the webinar today. So my name is Jonathan Grzybowski. I am one of the co-founders of Penji. Penji offers unlimited graphic design, all at one flat monthly rate. We've been doing it for about a year now. And so, however, my entrepreneurship career didn't always start the way that it is right now. So going through here, I have to give a quick disclaimer that no matter what business that you're in, sales cures everything. If you have sales, you have revenue, you have money to spend, you have money to hire, you have money to advertise. Sales cures all. And again, I do have to give another warning. The warning is that everything I'm saying to you is specific to our company. It is specific to who we are. It is specific to how we grew our business. So if you are to take the strategies and the ideas that I am going to present to you, it may not work the same way that it works for you. So just keep that in mind, that every strategy, every idea is completely unique, completely different. So try your best to not model everything that I'm saying. A quick background about me. At Penji, we've been featured in a ton of incredible magazines like Owner's Mag, Entrepreneur on Fire, and hundreds and hundreds of other publications. And we've even been labeled as a top startup to watch in 2018, according to Philadelphia Magazine. I'm located in Philadelphia, right outside Philadelphia, called Camden, New Jersey. And that's in the United States. It's on the East Coast of the United States, about 2 hours away from New York, if you're familiar. So here's a quick recap of everything that I'm going to talk about today. And feel free to write these down if you're making notes. That way you can kind of structure the notes in a way. So we have goal setting, accountability, reach out to your network, market research, sales process, creating a community, and rinse and repeat. Those are the main goals that we're going to talk about today. So let's get started. This is a picture of me, my very first business that I've ever created. I had no idea what I was doing. I created a digital marketing agency right before I quit my job at Apple. So I used to work in the corporate world, and I had a lot of great success. I had a very stable job, but somehow, some way in my heart, I knew that I wasn't doing the thing that I loved doing. So I needed to find a way to fix that. I needed to find a way to get rid of this depression that I was in. And so I started the business, and I had no prior knowledge or understanding to what graphic design was. I had no idea how to run a business. But I knew that in order for me to work and get money and create clients and et cetera, I needed to find a graphic design source. So I tried to hire students, as you can see here. I tried to hire residents within our local community. And I even tried going on freelance websites. And unfortunately, none of these options were the right fit. So I did what the most logical thing to do. And again, I had no skill in graphic design whatsoever. So I did all of the graphic designs myself for over 2 years. Now you can imagine how bad somebody is at graphic design, and how and what they were able to receive, what our clients were able to receive. So we did this for about 2 years until we got smart and we started hiring and finding new designers. So that's kind of our story. That's our reason why. We had a design agency for over 5 years, And we just recently, this past year, in 2017, we shut our agency down in order to focus on Penji full time. So Penji was created out of a necessity within ourselves, and it was created in order to solve our own problem, which was to find and use reliable graphic design support for our business. And we've all been there before, I'm sure. We've all been there where we needed a graphic designer, we needed to hire somebody, but it was extremely difficult to find that person. And so Penji solves that issue. And I'm not sharing this story in order to promote ourselves. I'm sharing it because everybody needs a reason why. So this is who we are today. This is Penji, present day. Oh, actually, not present day. This is probably 6 months or so ago, Penji. We started last year on October 21st, 2017, with 4 people. And now to date, we have over 35 employees, and we operate globally. So the first thing in order to get started about your business is to set goals. And I think this is an incredibly important step that a lot of people don't put enough attention on. So ask yourself the question, why are you doing what you are doing? What do you want to accomplish? And here's why that's important. Because if you don't have a North Star, you're not able to create a business surrounding your North Star. So this is just a hypothetical situation that I would like all of you to ask yourself. Do you want to be a business that operates out of an apartment or operates out of a garage and is only as big as 1 to 5 people, right? Or do you want to run a business that works out of a WeWork where you have a big business and you might have, or like another co-working space where you have maybe 5 to 10 people, 15 people. Or maybe you want to run a business like Elon Musk where it's a global empire and you dominate the entire sales, the electric car industry. And then lastly, do you want to be a company like Apple? And this is Apple's most recent headquarters. And they are a humongous company, one of the most profitable businesses in the world. And they pretty much have global domination of all technology related entities. So to kind of recap, what type of business do you want to be? Do you want to be a small mom and pop? Do you want to be a small business, a mid-sized business, or a global empire? Whatever the answer is to that question, you need to create a solution around that business. And you need to create a business around that idea. For us, we created a business around what we wanted to do. So we made a business model and a lifestyle surrounding what we want. And so our business now is as much about us, but it's about our story. So we don't want to have a business where we don't want to be the business that operates out of a garage door. We don't want to be able to have a business that just works in a WeWork. We want to be, the Elon Musks or the Apples of the world, where we're completely, where we are the one-stop solution for all things graphic design. So whatever it is for you that you need to think about that first. And it's the most important thing that you could possibly do. So at Penji, and now leads to number 2. And number 2 is accountability. So now that you have your goals, how are you able to create an accountability sector, network that allows you to grow professionally and personally? So at Penji, we set daily and monthly goals. And this is what one of them looks like today. So number 1 could be something like complete webinar, write blog, have a meeting with the team, review ads, get on a phone call, and increase revenue by 20%. So what we do every single day before we start work, we get into the office, we think about what we're going to do, and we create this structure. And so this is just a very short list, but it could be 10, 5, 50 things, whatever it is. It's up to you to decide that. But for us, we have a to-do list. And each thing on our to-do list has appropriate point systems and numbers associated with it. So a webinar is going to be a 1-hour completion. And if we do 6 of these, like if we were to add all these up, it might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? It could be 6 things. That's a 6-hour day. Now, some of these are within my weekly goals. So if you see the increased revenue by 20%, that's a weekly goal, and a daily goal is something like a complete webinar. And the reason why this is important is because it allows you to understand what you're trying to do throughout your day. So that way, when you think about what your day is and what you're trying to do, you know exactly what you need to do in order to complete that day. Now, I have to give a caveat though, because the most important thing, 9 times out of 10, we as people do the easy things first and the hard things last. So when you are completing these goals, you have to make an emphasis. And you are the only person to hold yourself accountable to do this. But you have to focus on the things that matter most. For example, if I didn't do this webinar today, number one, I think the Bridge for Billions teams would all think that I'm a jerk. And I think a lot of you people would also, that are listening right now, would also think that I'm a jerk. However, this was one of the most important tasks that I needed to do today, because I knew that I was going to be in front of people and I needed to make sure that you were providing, or you were receiving the most amount of value as possible. Another thing, like write blog about lunch idea. That necessarily, if that doesn't get done today, that's okay. It's not the most important thing on my task, but it is an important task for me to complete. So when you're completing your task in your head, you're giving yourself accountability, you need to separate the two between a very important task versus a secondary task, and then a weekly task or a monthly task. And something else that I should say is develop a system within yourself. I can go on and on about my system and my processes, but it's not going to make sense for you. So however you work, whether it's through writing things down, whether it's using a digital format, or maybe it's something else that you need for your business, you need to develop a system for yourself. Now, here's where it starts to get a little good. So how are we able to get sales? Because again, sales is very important. So in order for us to get our sales, we grew from 0 customers in October 21st, 2017 to over 300, 400 customers that we now have today. And we didn't do this by chance, and it wasn't done by luck. It was done by using very systematic approaches and a very detail-oriented process. So when we first started Penji, we had no idea that people wanted to actually use Penji. So what we did was we did the following. We used surveys, we used social media, we got on the phone, and we went to networking events and we hosted events. And I'm going to break down each one for you. So a survey. So what we did was, in the very beginning, when we started Penji, we didn't have a complete idea of what Penji could be. So what we did was we took a survey that is very similar to a Google Drive document. And before we launched our product, we literally sent this test to 150 people. And it asked questions like your email address, your cell phone number, your first name, your last name. What type of business are you in? Do you have a need for graphic design? How many graphic designs do you need a week? How many do you need a month? And then one of the final questions was, if we build this business, will you buy it? And out of the 150 people that we sent this to, over 40 people said to us, yes, if we build it, we will buy it. Then we were like, okay, that's enough validation for us. And we immediately got to work and to start on Penji, making Penji work for us. And in order for us to get these surveys out there, I could tell you right now, it is the most unsexy thing you'll possibly hear today. We literally went into DMs, which are direct messages, and we messaged people single-handedly. Hey, you're a friend of mine. You liked my stuff in the past. Can you take this quiz, this survey? It's going to take 5 minutes of your time, and if you do it, we'll send you a free coffee. And that was what allowed us to get the 150 people. And we literally used social media. So we didn't have this massive email list We didn't have this massive network. We literally just took a lot of hard work and dedication in order to email people specifically about what it is that we need to know. So we got the responses, we put them in an Excel sheet, and then we messaged them once it was created. So again, we asked, if we build it, will you buy it? And then, so again, we got on the phone with some of these people. We use social media, everything that is probably in the books for you to not do. We did just that. And the reason why we did it is because we needed information, and we needed the correct information. And we knew we couldn't get it if we were to just use the internet. So we used a part of the internet, and we used part phone call in order to talk to these people. A couple of things that we've also did in order to help us grow our network, or excuse me, our sales, is that we went to networking events. I don't know about you guys where you are located in your countries, but here where we are, there is probably about a networking event almost every single day. And for in the very beginning of my personal entrepreneurship career, I spent about 3 to 4 years where all I did was I went to networking events, and they were all within my geographic region. And I started to pick up names and information, and people started to recognize me. And that ability to get in front of people and know who they know who I am, and I know who they are, develops a really strong relationship. So what was in the surveys, right? You're probably wondering what was in the surveys. So in order for you to get your first 100 customers, you need to find out who the customers are that you're trying to reach. A lot of times, a lot of startups, a lot of businesses think that if I were to create an online business, that every single customer and every single person on the internet is a customer of ours. And I'm here to tell you that that is simply not true. So in the surveys that we created, we needed to find out how our customers think, what they like, where do they work, who do they follow on social media, what do they watch on TV or Netflix or whatever it may be, and what devices do they use when buying our service. And so what we created was a very primitive customer profile, which I'm going to share with you today. And so this is our customer profile. These are not our current customer profiles. So I do have to give a full disclaimer that if you are going to copy this, this is not what we do today. However, this was what our original customer profile was, and you can create this very easily yourself. This information was created based off of the surveys that we originally created. So it was specific to the people that we interviewed. So what we originally came up with was our customer profile was a marketing agency that delivered content to, I'm using his because we thought that our customers would be more male on a monthly basis. They do not typically market themselves online. However, they rely heavily on personal relationships. The customer is usually within the age of 25 to 40. They have 5 to 40 employees, and they're making anywhere between $250,000 to $10 million a year. And the title of that person is founder, owner, CEO, CMO, executive director, president, or co-founder. And you can kind of go into a little bit more about what their interests are. But the reason why this is important, is because this customer profile allowed us to speak to the customer's language. And I'm going to get to that a little bit later on. But in order for you to get a sale, you have to talk exactly the way that the customer is thinking. Because if I'm able to say the words, hey, have you ever hired a graphic designer before? That may not resonate. And that may not be the person that I'm trying to target. But if I were to say the words, have you ever gone on a website to try and hire a freelance graphic designer, but you have never been able to be successful in that process? That sentence alone is so much more specific and speaks to a very specific demographic, because we've all been there before. And so if I'm able to solve that problem, you're more likely to buy my solution. Customer profile 2 is going to be a startup. And the startup is, again, all the information is here, age 21, 35, has 2 to 10 employees, and they make around $500,000 a year. So again, completely different from customer 2. To date at Penji, we have about 4 to 5 different customer profiles, and they've expanded ever since. But we've used this exact template. So if you want to take something with you today, I would recommend taking description of company, the age, the number of employees, revenue, the interests, social media networks they follow, people they follow on social media, what's important to them, so like speed, delivery, and then the challenges and pain points. So if you want to screenshot that one, I'd say this is probably a good template to use. Now, with your sales process, everything that we did at Penji, not one thing was pretty. As you can see by this image, there are so many wires going on in the background, and there's so many connection points. And a lot of it probably doesn't make sense to this guy right here. However, he's still working and trying to find a solution. So I felt like this image right here was a great way to represent how a real sales process works. And our process looked very similar to, in the very beginning of Penji, looked very similar to these wires. There was no rhyme, there was no reason, there was no system. We kind of just threw as much as we possibly could at a fan, and hopefully in hope that one thing stuck. And we were grateful that we had a couple of things stick. So here's some of the things that we did. Once we were able to find out who our customers are, once we were able to find out who our customers were, what we were able to do from that point on is that we needed to collect data. So data is something that is incredibly important. And the data that we collected was, we found 3 categories. We found agencies, so marketing agencies, startups, and internal marketing teams. And what we did was we hired a data miner that we were able to work with. And that data miner was able to collect hundreds upon hundreds of emails, names, and information that allowed us to originally email these people to obtain either a meeting, a phone call, or a webinar. We also used advertisements, which I'm going to show you are exact advertisements that we used. Another thing that we use for our sales process is that we created a ton of content. And if you go on our website, our content team creates around 4 blogs a week. And so our SEO game is really high. So if there's anybody out there who thinks that SEO is dead, I would highly disagree with you. And then the last thing that we used, and again, I'm going to go into this in more detail in a brief bit, so just bear with me, is to have inbound tools to capture the data. So this is a form that we used directly around, this is an entire sheet, an exact sheet that we used. So what the sheet does is this sheet will indicate who reached out to this person and who that person is. So it could be like, the first name, last name, the name of the company, the email, and on the left-hand side, it'll say status. It'll say the day that person reached out. So it could be like November 21st, 2018, could be the status. And so if you're looking at this sheet, what you'll see here is that if this is completed, that means that this person has completely went through the whole process from email 1 to email 2 to email 3 to email 4. And what is also important is that if this email list, the status portion says November 20th or November 21st, and it's now, say, December 25th, you'll know that it's been about a month in order for you to reach back out to that person. So one of the most important things when you collect data is the follow-up. And I have to repeat that again. The follow-up is the most important process. And you need to have, if you're going to use this primitive step, you need to have a way to track the follow-up. Here's a little bit more in depth in what we did. So what you'll see here is there's a completed, there's a pending, and then a category. So if they're pending that means that they have responded. So if we send an email like, hey, hey Jim, I really like your stuff, and I think that you'd be a great person to use Penji. If they respond like, hey, I'm interested in using Penji, they would go into the pending bin. If they're completed, that means they're completed, and if they still need to be reached out to, they're in one of these additional categories here. Now, this is a sales email that we've sent directly. This is a verbatim, an exact email that we've spent and that we've sent to prospects. This is not the email that we use currently. However, this is the email that has generated our first 100 customers. And if you want to take a brief second to screenshot this, the next 2 slides that I'm going to do is slide 1 is going to be the first email. Slide 2 is going to be the follow-up email to that. And again, these are very specific to our company, so please take this into consideration to not duplicate or copy it. But you can still use the framework. So it's going to say something like, hi, first name. Now, the first line is going to be very specific. So name something specific about the person or the company. So I'm giving you an example. Now, if anybody were to go and follow me on social media, you'll see that I most recently launched my 200th episode of my podcast. And so if I was trying to sell my service to myself, here's what I would say to me. Hey, notice you just launched your 200th episode of your podcast. Congratulations. How does it feel to hit 200? That email, that one line right there is going to prove that the person that you're sending it to, that you did the research and that you that you have the understanding to know who that person is. So rather than just sending an email like, hey, I just noticed that we're friends on LinkedIn and that I sell X, Y, and Z, and I think that you would be a great beneficiary to this product. I'm going to not read that image 100% of the time. But if you were to tell me and send me an email that says, hey, notice that you just launched 200th episode, congratulations. That is so specific because you took that extra 30 seconds of time to research me. The next thing is just going to be a line, and it's going to be a question. So this has to be a question. Then the third paragraph is going to be about the company. And then the final paragraph is going to be a, hey, are you available? Or does this interest you? Or some type of question. So the framework is specific, question, paragraph about the company or service and how it benefits them, and then end with another question. And here's the follow-up to that. It's going to say, hey, now this is not, the first one is very specific and partially template. The second email is 100% template. So you could essentially just, copy and use the same thing over and over again. Does your startup need a reliable graphic designer to build your product or service? And again, this is just a very specific. It's going to be a question. It's going to be a paragraph about the service. And then it's also going to end with a question. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody and that you were able to screenshot that. If I could just get like a quick thumbs up, were you able to screenshot that if you were listening? Cool. Awesome. I see some thumbs up here. Great to hear that. Then we're going to move on. So this is where we get to the fun stuff, is inbound. Now, our company is a discount forward type of company. We offer discounts for our service. We also offer discounts for the first month of our service. Now, if that is not your company, that's totally cool. However, for us, this works. So we use 2 things. We use inbound leads, which is a pop-up, and we use intercom, and I'll explain that briefly. But what happens is the reason why this is important is because as soon as somebody comes up on your website, they should receive some type of pop-up. For us, again, it's a 15%. For you, it could be a download of a free ebook or whatever it may be. Whatever it is for your business, just have them put the first name and email address, and then you're done. This 15% off coupon has converted so well for us. Again, it's very specific to who we are, but it does work. I can promise you that. The next thing is going to be we use Intercom. So I'm giving a shout out to Intercom, but you could use any other chat software. So this is a chat software that pops up on your computer, pops up on the website and allows the customer to interact with your business. So we get about 10 to 15 requests a day just from people asking questions. And the reason why this is important is because it allows you to be able to talk to that person in real time and answer any specific question that they may have about your business. And so Intercom is going to be intercom.com, by the way. Now, once you have the inbound leads, you need a place to drive all this traffic to. And this is where it comes to advertisements. So we separate our ads into 4 different categories. We separate them to local engagement. We separate them to lookalike audiences, retargeting, and conversions. These are the exact ads that we used in the very beginning. So you can copy these if you so choose. It won't really work for you, but you can still copy the idea behind it. So what does local engagement mean? What we did was when we used social media advertising, we used our geographic region in order to highlight, in order to get customers. So this background right here, this photo, this video is a video ad that the background is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the United States. And anybody that has gone to Philadelphia would know that what this background is. So the reason why this is important is because the ad was centered, was targeted to people who only live inside Philadelphia. So we said, hey, are you a digital marketing agency in Philadelphia and need graphic design support? Penji offers unlimited graphic design. Swipe up for more information. And that video, because we created it in Philadelphia, it grabbed a huge audience of people who were interested in what we had to do within our local community. So no matter what city or no matter what country or no matter where you live in the world, if you want to find an audience in Paris, if you think that people in Paris would make the most sense, if you think the people in Spain, in a particular city of Spain makes sense, if you think that a particular city in America would make the sense, find a way to find something relevant to that city or country and be able to target that audience around your business. So for us, it's a video of me in the city of Philadelphia. The lookalike audience, and if you're not familiar with what lookalike audiences are, if you're not familiar with any of these, I highly recommend writing them down and doing a quick Google search. But a lookalike audience is going to be an audience that looks very similar to the people that you're currently targeting to. So we had a list of about 1,000 people of our closest friends. So we took those 1,000 emails and we created a lookalike audience around those people. And we use this ad specifically in order to convert. I can say that we probably got about close to 20 conversions, 20 customers from this ad in the very beginning in about 1 month, specifically to that ad. It is not cute. It looks cute, but it's not like the best design thing in the world, but it still works. Now, if you were to go onto Penji right now, penji.co, there is a strong chance that as soon as you leave Facebook, as soon as you leave the website and you go onto Facebook, you will see an advertisement from Penji. It's going to say something, and it's going to be different than this, but you're going to see an ad because you went onto our website. So the reason why this is important is because if you're able to retarget and track your customers, you're able to constantly get in front of them. And you should try different ways in order to get in front of these people. And retargeting is the best way to do that. The last one is conversions. Now, if you're able to, if the people that go on your website and they do everything that you need them to do within your sales funnel in order to become a qualified customer, a conversion ad is going to be the best way to do that. Because if they're in buying mode, there's a strong chance that they're ready to buy. So this conversion ad right here allows them to constantly be seen based off of Google's algorithms, and it'll allow you to get more customers using the conversion approach to advertising. So as I wrap up here and end with a couple of questions, I have to say that your next 100 customers, I can almost guarantee, are within a 30-mile radius to where you are located right now. For us, we know that. For you, it could be 50, maybe it could be 5, it could be 1 mile. I don't know what everybody is doing, but I can almost guarantee you that your next 100 customers or your first 100 customers are within a 30-mile radius from where you are located right now. And this is who our team, what we are today. We have an amazing community of people. We have an amazing team amongst us. And I'm really happy to share our story with you. I hope you guys were able to get at least a little bit of value from this. And I have to end with this. Every process isn't perfect, but what you have to do in order to make it perfect is to not stop. And so you have to rinse and repeat and do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again until you get it right. And it's not going to be perfect in the very beginning. It takes time. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of stress, and a lot of lack of sleep. So keep it up, keep doing what you're doing, and make sure you're documenting every single journey. And that's the end of the webinar today. And I do have to give a quick shout out that if you are interested in trying Penji out, I highly recommend to you guys to use the coupon code BRIDGE15. That's going to give you 15% off directly to your first month of Penji. Again, that is BRIDGE15. And if you have any questions or any concerns or any just confusion at all, I'm going to give the Bridge for Billions teams my personal email, which you can then send to the entire list, and they can send emails directly to me, directly in my inbox. So thank you guys very much. And so without questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
No problem.
I think it cut a little bit at the very end. Can you speak?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. All good now. Yeah. Wow, that was amazing. And I didn't expect to learn a lot of things myself, because sometimes we do those webinars and it's things that I already use in my day-to-day, but actually I got a lot of great tips from there. So, and I was the one asking the most questions, so thank you so much. Maybe we can start by just reading the questions that have come on the comment chat, and then if we have any others. Perfect. Yeah. So Nelson was asking he's a mentor with us. Hi, Nelson. He was asking when you were talking about emailing, direct emailing, how can you get attention from the customers? I mean, hypothetically, I've sent 10 emails and haven't achieved their reply.
Sometimes email. For us in particular, I think we've sent close to 10,000 emails a month. So it's a lot. You have to look at like the number of, in the very beginning, that's how many we sent. But you know, you have to look at the averages, right? Are you talking to the right person? Are you saying the right things? Are you following up? Are your scripts specific? What I've found is the more specific your scripts are, the better. So if you're able to make a comment about like, hey, I saw that you like Arsenal, the soccer team Arsenal, and you go on the person's Instagram and they're wearing an Arsenal a jersey, right? Or maybe they just took a trip to
Ibiza.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe they just took a trip. If they share this stuff on their Instagram or their Twitter or their Facebook, it's public knowledge. Use that to your advantage. If they like a favorite, again, I always try to use sports analogies because that's just my mentality. But you have to find something that works for you. But again, I gave the example of like talking about your first 200th episode on my podcast. I was really excited about that. So if somebody comments about my passion, I'm always going to respond because you know me. You've done the research to understand what I like. Do you want me to just go down all the list here?
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Okay. So would we get the slides? You absolutely can get the slides. I'll be able to give it to you in a PDF, and you could download it. Yes, and the call is being recorded, so that's good. Feel free to have your questions. Question later. How can I make sure my daily goals are the right ones to achieve my big picture goal? Yeah, it's really hard to do that. How can I make sure my daily goals are the right goals? It's one of those things where like you know. Do you want to come in? Oh, come on. Sakina's here. Sakina's right next. She wants to say hi, but now she's being shy. But anyways, so when it comes to like your daily goals, it's really hard to determine what your daily goals are, but you really have to kind of like look at yourself in the mirror, right? And you have to say like, what is the most important thing that I need to get done today? And whatever the answer is, then that's what you should be doing. It's one of those things where like you can't really answer that question, but you know you need to do it, and you're probably postponing it, and you have been postponing it because you just don't want to do it. You might be afraid to do it. You may not know how to do it. So the reason why CEOs and the reason why the Jeff Bezos of the world and the Elon Musk, they make so much money is they're able to do the hardest things, which is to use their brain. So you just have to, if you were to write it out, you can probably knock off 5 of the 10 things, or maybe 5 of the 6 things that you probably shouldn't be doing that day. How much is an average to spend on social media? I would say $5 a day. Start with $5 a day. It depends. You also have to take into consideration like what's most important, right? So if you're already getting a lot of traffic to your website, you probably want to invest all of your money in remarketing, because remarketing is going to have the highest return. But if you're trying to find new audiences, then maybe $5 would be better spent there. But I would probably encourage you to start with remarketing, invest all of your money so people can constantly see your company, they can constantly see your brand, and they can kind of get like familiarized with your face. So I would highly recommend doing that. When you're teaming your own time, how can you afford time-wise to go to networking events? Did you ever regret losing time? Absolutely, yeah, I definitely regretted. I probably spent 3-4 years of my entire life going to every networking event. A lot of it was definitely a huge waste of time, but I think that what I learned was a lot of really valuable lessons. I've learned how to better talk to and communicate with people. I've also was able to create a pretty extensive network of people. So if I were to put something out on Facebook, people would probably be able to help me and find a way to help me. So it's not for everybody, but I would highly recommend going to a decent amount of networking events in the very beginning of your career, just so you can create that confidence. Because the minute that you're able to create that confidence, the minute you're able to do so many more things for your business. Like I'm not afraid of any rejection. The amount of times that I've been rejected, I'd be able to fill this room up with ping pong balls from the floor to the ceiling. So you when you receive that and you're able to talk to these people, you build a certain amount of character that I think can't be taught.
That leads to webinars and podcasts.
Exactly. You could do like this and just have fun and talk. When your team and I already read that one. How can you get attention from the customers? I mean, hypothetically, you guys sent 10 emails and haven't achieved their reply. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So we already briefly answered that one. Just to kind of reiterate it, the person that you're trying to reach out to may not be the right fit, or maybe you're not targeting the right person. Maybe you're going for the CEO, but you should be going after the chief marketing officer. Or maybe you should go to one of the employees so you can get a referral to the CEO. There's so many ways to go about doing that. Who are data miners? Are they hackers? How do they work? A data miner is basically somebody's job where all they do every single second of every day is to find information. So they find the first name, email, like they're not hackers, so to speak, but they're just data collectors. I call them data miners, but you can call them what you wish, but they're just collecting data.
Can I add something to that? It's just, I'm going to post it in the channel and later in the community. But I found out about some free online tools that can do this job for you if you can dedicate a few hours. There's one called Find That Lead, another one called Rocket Reach, and you just install that on your Chrome browser, and then you can find any person's email on LinkedIn, and it's legal. So it's quite mind-blowing that you can get people's data like this. But for us at the beginning, it was very easy to do direct emailing outreach without having the budget to hire any data miner.
Yeah, and especially because Europe has a lot of laws around this. Hunter.io is another great one. That's definitely something we use. You have to make sure that it's not spammy. So if you do something that's why the specificity, I didn't say that word right, but the specific nature of an email, the fact that you're able to talk to them as if that you're one of their friends and you're genuinely trying to get to know them, it's going to build that rapport, and you won't get sued or slapped on the wrist from the government. So you're fine there. How to convert a positive first reaction into an actual sale. How to convert a positive first reaction. If somebody is really positive about your business and they really like what it is that you're trying to do, I would ask them, like, if you're really desperate for a sale, I would ask them, like, what would you pay for it? Maybe even offer it for free. I know in the very beginning, and still to this day, there are times where we offer things for free based off of a particular relationship if we think it's successful. So, maybe you give them like a 1 month trial or a 1 week trial or 2 week trial. If you really have that positive interaction, it might be helpful to give it away for free. And I know you're probably thinking, well, I really need money and I really need to pay my rent and whatever it may be. Sometimes that extra investment it makes all the difference, because it proves to the other person that you're interested in working with them. And giving it away for free or at an extreme discount or at cost could be that extra thing that allows you for them to become a customer. Any other questions at all?
No, just to react on that, it's also a bit of a chicken egg problem, because
Totally.
if you don't get those first logos of those first customers in your website, nobody will trust you.
Exactly.
So at Bridge, we took the same path. Like the first 4 entrepreneurs that did the program back then did it completely for free, because we wanted to have some testimonials and some success stories of those entrepreneurs. So
I highly recommend. That's a great barter. Like if you're able to say, hey, I'll give this to you for free, all I ask you in return is for a testimonial. And if I could recommend, make sure that you record the testimonial via video. You could use your iPhone or your Samsung or whatever phone that you have. The phones nowadays are good enough to do that. Just set it up, record them talking about how awesome you are, and use that for your marketing. That could actually be one of your advertisements for your business.
Oh, there's a new one.
As many leads as possible while improving your service. I think a launch date can be overhyped, because if you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to create this launch date, so to speak, because if you're launching your product, like let's just say your launch date is November 21st, 2018, and you're building up to that one day. And what happens if that one day isn't what you wanted it to be? It could completely destroy your momentum. It can completely destroy your psyche, and you can lose confidence because of it. So I would recommend not having a launch day, like a date specific, and just like over time, constantly finding ways to improve the service, because businesses aren't about launch days. They're about improving the service and the quality over time. So the more you're able to use that and gain traction and fix it over time, I think that's going to be better for your business.
Yeah. And there's even a saying that says, I don't know who it's from, but it's very true, that if you're not ashamed of the first version of your product, then you've launched too late.
Yeah, absolutely. If I were to show you Penji version 1, I would cringe on the inside. So
Bridge. Any other questions? Even you can speak, you don't have to write them. We have 8 minutes with 11 brains in the room. is there, just to have an idea, who in the room has not made any sales yet? Like you're at a very, very early stage and you haven't sold anything. Maybe raising your hands. I don't see any. Sumina? Yes, that's okay. Perfect. What would you say that, Sumina, is your biggest fear or your top one question about selling? You're muted, just.
Actually, we are still on making the prototype. So
Okay.
just now, the greatest fear is if our prototype doesn't work, then what we are going to do. So that's the greatest fear. But I have learned so much about digital marketing and so on. So I'm pretty confident that I can market my product if my prototype works.
Yeah.
What type of product are you launching?
Actually, we are developing pregnancy detection kit for cattle.
Okay. So you have a physical product, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That I don't have any expertise in that world. But I could see why if it works, then it's great. If it doesn't work, then you might have an issue. All I can recommend is get as many testers as you possibly can.
Mm.
Yes.
Hey, appreciate the talk. That was really valuable, and I especially liked some of your discussion around ad retargeting. Have you integrated any sort of viral or referral-based systems in your model at all? I apologize if you covered it before. I had to join a little bit late.
It's all good. I didn't cover it, and that's a great question. Sorry, excuse me. So we do have referral. We do have affiliate programs. We're able and gracious enough to build our own platform, but any way that you're able to give incentives to referral networks for people who have influencer programs, then I highly recommend it. So we offer a 15% commission off of each sale, and then 15% is then given back to the 15% is given back to the person. And what we're able to do in that regards is build that relationship. So we work with people who we know would sell our product, and we reach out to them and say, hey, could we get this in front of your audience? This is the terms and conditions. Do you mind promoting us? And in turn, this is what we'll do for you. It works really well if and only if you're targeting the right audience, and if and only if they understand affiliate relationships. A lot of times, and I can say this for sure, that when you're trying to target these affiliate relationships, a lot of the times they don't know how to use an affiliate. They're not familiar with affiliate marketing. So there has to be a level of education behind it too. So if you're educating them, like you're going to have to educate them about why affiliate marketing is beneficial and how it can work for their business and how they're able to receive additional streams of income using that. Some people get it. Some people don't. So it depends on how much you want to invest in educating the person that doesn't get it, even though they might have a high audience. And then 9 times out of 10, if they have a high audience, they're already going to be there for a level of sponsorship. So you have to be creative if you don't have the money. So maybe you offer them a free month, or maybe you offer them a free year, or maybe you just, it's not a good fit. It depends on the business model that you have, but it's definitely viable. Absolutely.
Awesome. And it sounds like you're talking a little bit about blogs that are not necessarily already affiliated with you. Do you have any mechanisms to optimize the referrals that come from your own existing customer base? Does that make sense as a question?
So you're saying how to get a referral from our actual customers?
Right. So I mean, like in Uber, they say, okay, give it for
yep.
a friend, blah, blah, blah. Do you do that off your base?
We do, yeah. So inside of Penji's platform, there's a way to refer friends. And so I believe it is now 6, then you'll get Penji for free. So if that's an incentive, if the person wants to get Penji for free, they can. And so same rules apply. We would give them a percentage off if they were to refer us. I can say it is a difficult thing to do because a lot of people just don't care about it as much as you think they would. So you have to be able to educate them about where it is and how to use it. You know, it goes with Uber too. You may have had that referral for so long, but do you actually use it? I probably personally used it maybe 4 or 5 times out of the thousands of times that I've used it. So you kind of have to, like, what I would recommend is if you have this and you want to build this into your business, then I would be having a customer success person get on the phone with this customer and ask them about their experience with your product. And if they say they love it, then insert the promotion. Like, hey, did you know that you can get it for free? Just refer us to your friends. You know, use this link, whatever it may be. Here's a script. Another thing too is, like, if you talk to this person and you say they love your product, like, hey, here's a paragraph. Can you send this to your network on Facebook? So you doing the dirty work for them so they don't have to think about it. Because the last thing that the person needs to do is, like, come up with, like, oh crap, how do I tell these people that they're really good? They don't want to do that. So if you were to send them a paragraph to do it, you know, a script, that's another hack that you could use as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Great. I want to honor Jonathan's and everyone's time. So I think the hour is finished already. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for all of this. That was great. As you know, it's being recorded, so we might have a bigger audience later on. And definitely I will pass on your email to the rest of the team. And if they have any additional questions, they can reach out to you or even check out Penji's services. So yeah, thank you so much for today. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just verbalize it since it is going to be recorded. It's going to be hello@penji.co. Hello as in hello at penji.co. You can email that email and it'll get somehow, some way it'll get directed towards me. So hello@penji.co, guys. Thank you so much for your time, your attention. We really appreciate it. Have fun. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Have a good day. Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.